So, first things first, about the hat, of course. Is the hat funny enough? Is the lighting right? Is the volume right? Before we start, I'm going to tell you a little something today. We're going to talk about a 12-step program, where it all came from. What is it really all about? And then the Celebrate Recovery that came afterwards. The wheels that drive it all. The gas that fuels the tanks. Where we're all going. We the people. No, you the people. Not me. I'm not in it anymore. Gosh. Right here, from the front porch of the homestead. It is funny, isn't it? One thing that I wish I could do, my handicap prevents me, is to, if this was holding, just simply pull back the skin, and you could see how amazing I look. If we could just get a little money to pull back the skin here, and then the teeth fixed, woo woo. What a beauty that would be. Yes, indeed. Let's talk about addiction, shall we? And the Food and Drug Administration. So, have you looked it up yet, like I told you to? What a drug is? The difference between a food and a drug, like if we're talking about addiction, have you done that part of it, like I told you to? I bet you haven't. And if you have, has it made you think about things? Harris, that's Kamala Harris, well, she invested in some companies that are the private prisons. And she did that in some sneaky ways, but nonetheless, she's invested in the prisons in this country. See? So she got a piece in the profits. That's why she likes the system the way it is. She likes the sick drug addict people and the prisoners because she gets a piece of the profits. That's why I object to it, you see. Now, if we're going to talk about prison reform, let's talk about prison reform. But let's not make people sick so that they get into the prison reform system so that we can profit more. See, that's what I'm saying. Wrong people in the orange jumpsuits. See? That's what I'm trying to get you to think about. It's one thing to say, wow, we've got a really corrupt prison system, and this is not the way to do our prisons, and then begin prison reform. That's one thing. But to say you're doing prison reform, but then at the same time create even more prisoners and create more rehab, quote, victims, that's what I'm saying. That's quite another story. Quite another story, Miss Harris. Yes, indeed, it is. And I'm saying that that's what happened. Funny hat or no funny hat that I be wearing. Yes, indeed. Funny hat or no funny hat that I be wearing. It's the content of what I'm saying that I want you all to be thinking about. And I'm going to tell you the real story of the 12-step program. It's quite a story, quite an interesting story. But it was a spiritual program. Program? Not really sure that's quite the word for it, because it's biblically based. Every single word of it. Yeah, it was. It is. Really interesting story. It's such an interesting story that each time I come upon it, as I go to tell it, I pause in awe of it, of the hugeness of it, of the brilliance of it, the scope of it, the magnificence of it, and its horrible, horrible mess. Okay, so we're almost coming up on the 5-minute mark, so I'll just leave that as a cliffhanger, even though I hate them. next time for the Orange Jumpsuit Show, because we've got the wrong people in the orange jumpsuits. Isn't that always the way it is?